In this video I'm going to cover what I want from Mass Effect 5. This includes things from gameplay, characters, stories and more. Hey guys, Single Player Universe here, please like and subscribe and let's dive into the video. Mass Effect 5 is one of my most anticipated games, and every now and then I feel eager for a reveal, although I think we may not hear anything about the game until N7 Day 2023. Unless Mike Gamble's teasers have anything to go by. I want Mass Effect 5 to do well, and I think it's about time I give BioWare and Mike Gamble some ideas so they can improve Mass Effect 5's potential. Starting with the gameplay, I think Andromeda's combat system should be retained because Andromeda's combat was really enjoyable with brilliant maneuverability, biotic attacks and the ability to string all the squad attacks together. Andromeda's combat was just really flawless, and it was the only thing that actually made me play the game more often. But it shouldn't be copy and pasted though. BioWare should improve it, add more combat abilities such as hand-to-hand combat and maybe some special attacks that include impressive animations similar of Deus Ex and Uncharted. Also, Mass Effect 5 should focus on exploration. When I first played the first Mass Effect, I loved the exploration elements, and although I felt that you were forced to travel through a bit of emptiness in the Mako, which was the worst vehicle, I still liked the exploration elements, and I felt that Mass Effect 2 and 3 kind of took away that exploration and became more action shooters with a bit of exploration. And Andromeda kind of brought the exploration back, but expanded that emptiness to the point that I didn't feel like playing the game sometimes. So I want that exploration to come back, but just do it right this time. You know, just include more outposts, nooks and crannies that include some resources and stuff that we need. And you know, we should be able to fly the ships for once across the galaxy. We'll have that immersive feel of travelling through space. And games like Starfield and No Man's Sky have managed to pull that off, so why can't games like Mass Effect do so? The other thing is a good morality system. Now, I loved the Paragon Renegade system, particularly in 1 and 3, where you could freely use the Renegade and Paragon choices to your own risk without having to choose one over the other. But there was flaws in the system because Paragon Shepard ended up being too naive and too nice, and Renegade Shepard being a psychopathic idiot who does things that just do not make sense. Hence why many players chose to use the infamous Paragade and Renegon, which balances all the choices, as some Paragon choices worked and some didn't. The same with the Renegade choices. Some just made sense and some were just downright dumb. As for Andromeda's morality system, it did the right thing by ditching the Paragon Renegade system, but I think it needs more improvement by adding more diverse options so that players can make their own choice rather than giving us dialogue options that end up being the same, but in a different manner. Otherwise things are just going to become too obvious, and more diverse options will allow that uncertainty to maintain for much longer. Also, one of the most important things is the RPG elements. Now, the class system was a nice thing to have, but the profiles in Andromeda has changed my mind about the class system, and I don't think it should return now because I felt it locked away freedom, because there will always be a time where you change your mind and you would have to start the game again, which is irritating. So profiles returning and giving us freedom to change, especially during combat, will just make things easier, and it also will allow us to be more tactical. So we have to figure out what is the perfect profile to use depending on the combat scenario and such and such. Moving on to the skill trees, I felt that Andromeda's skill trees were just too much, and the same was for the first game as well, and it just made things more long-winded. And while Mass Effect 2 was just too simple, I felt like the third game was just right with a balance of skills rather than an overflowing of skills and a shortage of skills. I think Mass Effect 5 should take examples from Deus Ex and Fallout to build the right skill trees. The other important thing is the big one, the story. I'm expecting an intense, exciting and brilliant story from BioWare since they hired Mary DeMar, the writer of Deus Ex Human Revolution and the recent Guardians of the Galaxy game, so there is no reason why Mass Effect 5 cannot succeed compared to Andromeda. No matter where Mass Effect 5 is set, or if Shepard returns or not, or if our favourite squadmates survived, Mass Effect 5 needs to have a good story, and in order to do that is to have great characters and villains. And good writing is all that Mass Effect 5 needs in order to succeed. The villains, who are very likely to be Cerberus, need to have a personality where they may not even be Cerberus. What I mean by this is that I want the game to make it seem like it may not be Cerberus, or whatever villain it may end up being. And then near to the end of the game it becomes clear who the villain is. The characters need to be built up properly as well, with some explanation for the new characters, similar in Mass Effect 1, with the new squadmates you met and so on. Mass Effect 5 needs all of this to work and excel at a point where things are currently make or break for BioWare in such a way after what happened with Andromeda and Anthem, that even the new Dragon Age game, should it not succeed, could end up impacting Mass Effect 5 development, so BioWare must not mess this up. The soundtrack also needs to match the theme of the first game's soundtrack, which is my favourite and in my opinion the best soundtrack in Mass Effect. I did like the Suicide Mission song in Mass Effect 2 and the Leaving Earth theme at the end of Mass Effect 3's Pro League, but the first game had everything from the suspenseful and soft piece of visual which plays in the first game's main menus and in many parts of the game, to the action-packed music that plays as you infiltrate Saren's base on Vermeer. Mass Effect 5 needs to recapture the first game's style and atmosphere in many ways it can. And finally, check my other Mass Effect 5 video about why the game should have a new protagonist instead of Shepard. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like, I have a lot of videos like this coming, so subscribe and I'll see you next time. Take care.